Hi, and welcome to part 2 of my adventures into remote ham radio with my Flexradio. A couple of months ago, I did an intro video on how to operate the radio remote, and that has not been my issue. My issue has been remote power to the Flexradio, because this is a two-step process. By the way, welcome to LB0 Fox India Norwegian Ham Ventures. I'm Morton, LB0 Fox India. And as I said, this is a two-step process. First of all, it's the power supply on and off, and then it's the radio on and off. Because the Flex is an SDR, it requires a soft boot and a soft shutdown. So you can't really trigger it with just the power supply on and leave the radio on and it starts. That will lead to corruption of the drive of the Flexradio if you do that a lot of times. So that's something you don't want to do. So I've spent a lot of time figuring out how to do this. And my initial thought, and I've spent months on it, probably 4 or 5 months. My initial thought was using one of these Node MCU boards with an ESP32 and Wi-Fi to trigger a relay for the Flex. And while that was a good idea, I couldn't quite figure out how to get this to work properly, get a web interface, get something that's triggered through the internet and lets me be able to do this smoothly. So, fast forward until earlier this week, and it suddenly hit me that I can use a Raspberry Pi to control that same relay, which is basically a good idea, but I still needed some kind of software on it to run that. And what I went for was Node-RED. I've been looking at Node-RED for a while, but I'm no programmer. I can't code anything except for Commodore 64 Basic. So I needed something that was simple and something that people had done before me. So first of all, let's take a look at my Node-RED code, and then we'll take a look at how I run the power supply, and then we'll boot everything up and we'll see that it works. So we're over here at the Node-RED interface here, and Node-RED is running on my Raspberry Pi here. So I got two simple, I think they're called nodes here, two simple nodes. I got pin 5 of the Raspberry Pi, which is hooked up to the relay, and then we got a switch here. So let's take a look at the code for the switch here. And it's relatively simple. I got an on payload and an off payload here. The on payload is 1 or high, and the off payload is 0. So that means if the switch is on, there's power to the relay, and if the switch is off, there's no power to the relay. So we can hook the relay up in normally open mode. If there's no power, the circuit will be open. And if there's power, the circuit will be closed, and then you'll short the 2 pins on the backside of the Flexradio. Because Flexradios are remotely powered on by shorting 2 pins, or basically shorting an RCA phono connector in the back. When that is shorted, you tell the radio to soft boot, and when you remove the short, you tell the radio to shut down. So this is relatively simple. And what I then did is I hit the deploy button over here, and then I got this nice little dashboard with one switch. Press that press that switch, and the Flex powers on, as long as there's power to the power supply. And that brings us on to the issue of the power supply, which is actually the easiest part here. I just need a way of turning the power supply on, and I went with, or my initial plan was to go with one of these, a Philips Hue Smart plug. So I bought one of those, but turned out that I had an unused one which was already set up in my Philips Hue portal, and that's not a Philips one, it's an IKEA one, but they're compatible with each other. So the Hue bridge sees everything as a Hue unit, and everything's good. The next step will be to get that Philips Hue Smart Switch into the Node-RED dashboard, so I can actually turn on both things in one interface. But I played around with it, and as I said, I haven't programmed much since I had a Commodore 64, so I got some code, but it's not working. So let's take a look at how I do it right now. So what we have here is my iPhone. And as you can see, I got a Philips Hue widget here, which is relatively easy. It's got an on and off. It's in Norwegian, but på is on and of is off. So it's on and off. Besides that, I needed a way of remotely doing this when I'm not at home without exposing everything to the internet. So I set up a zero tier 1 VPN solution between the phone and the Raspberry Pi. It's probably the easiest VPN I've ever done. And if you want that in more detail, let me know down in the comments and I'll do a video going into detail with that. But let's see what happens now if I press the on button here. And we have the power supply over there in a little window. So let's press the on button and see what happens. It's magic, isn't it? Press that button and boom, it's on. And I don't have to worry about a VPN solution with the Hue Smart Switch because the Hue is a cloud service, so everything's connected through the magic of Philips' own cloud services. So that leaves the power supply part of it. Let's go ahead and turn on the radio and see what happens there. And here we are with the Node-RED dashboard here. And you can see the relay down in the corner over there. So let's press the power button here and you'll see the relay go on. And the Flexradio starts. And it's as simple as that, though. I mean, everything is simple once you get to the solution. What took time for me was actually realizing that a Raspberry Pi and Node-RED was the way to go here. Actually, setting this up took me, well, not even half an hour from start to finish. So that proves that if I can get my Flex to remotely power on and power off, you can probably do that as well. And I gotta tell you though, Flex has really good guides on their web pages on how to do this and recommended gadgets and widgets and stuff to buy. But for me, living outside North America, some of those solutions weren't good for me. So I needed to make my own way here a little bit. And I hope this makes it easier for you if you're a Flex user somewhere outside North America and you really can't figure out how to remotely get your Flex to turn on and off. Because, let's be honest, half of the fun with a Flex is being able to do FT8 in the office, on the bus, on the train, perhaps on a plane, on Wi-Fi, on an airport. You can do FT8 and radio pretty much everywhere with this radio, and it just works. So, hope you liked this video. Click that thumbs up button if you liked it. As I said, leave a comment down below. There are some ways down below to support my channel, but let me be serious here. That's not why I do this. I spend a lot more money than I make on this channel, but I do this because it's fun and because it's contributing to the ham radio community, not because I'm going to get rich. Then I'd made videos on something completely different than ham radio. Anyway, that's it for today. See you down the bands and see you in my next video. 7-3.